I think there is absolutely that potential, and there, because of the lack of very cold weather over the last at least 5 years, almost 10 years, we haven't really had it that cold, cold enough, different areas. But there's a fellow that I think is associated with Golden Gate Palms. He used to do TV stuff and is quite a character. And he's been getting his client. He sells a lot of avocados and mangoes up here, and he's got some clients that directed him to some bearing mango trees. The famous one was in Fremont, which is probably one of the most ideal climates I can think of in the Bay Area, the home of the famous California Nursery Company, which was, famous in this area for many years. But also in the along the water there, near Benicia, I think, or somewhere over there, at the mouth of the San Joaquin there, the Carquinez Straits there. It's just out of the fog. It's mild weather because it's close to the water, yet it's just far enough inland where it gets a little bit of warmth. And he showed some mango trees full of fruit on some videos you might find online from that guy. So yes, I think things are warming up. I have friends that are fruiting loquats at 48.5 degrees north up there on Orcas Island. Took them, some seedlings took them 30 years to fruit, but they're fruit now.
Wow.
Well, I think we've hit the magic hour.
Hey, John, thanks for the heads up about this.
Yeah, there's Joe from Santa Clara. So yeah, excellent. Good to see y'all.
You too.
How long have you been a member, John?
Oh, who, me? Gosh, let's see, I moved here to the Bay Area, almost 20 years ago, just a little less than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And joined pretty soon. And yeah, so more than 15 years. I was living in Hawaii before that, so I wasn't so in tune with the California.
But you've been fruiting for a long time then, huh? You've been.
Yeah, I've yes, I kind of never really knew about fruit trees until I saw when I was probably 18 or 19 years old. And I saw an apple tree with a big pile of apples that had fallen off of it on the ground, and I was pretty much amazed. I never seen anything like that. All that fruit on the ground, huh? I think I should pick some up and try some of that. So that was the beginning of my fruit gleaning. I guess it was my introduction to fruit growing. It's just letting nature do the work, and a few worms, but yeah.
That's not bad. That's funny. I got my first peanut butter fruit. I went walking out. It was on the ground. It was completely red, and the ants ate half of it, but they left half of it for me to taste it. It was pretty sweet, creamy peanut butter, but yeah, not quite sure. I need a full one, maybe, to get the full taste of it.
Yeah, the birds in the ground falls. That's telling you it's ready right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a little after 7. Would you like to kick it off, and I'll kind of give my spiel?
Sure. So welcome everybody to John Valenzuela. He's going to be our host today. We were able to get an order last year from John, and it was pretty amazing. He got us figs and kiwis and mulberries that nobody's ever heard about. So it was a pretty special deal. So it was the first time me dealing with the UC Davis order. So I didn't know what it really was. I didn't get the message out to the group until like a week before, or maybe a week and a half before. So nobody really had a chance to take advantage of this. So it's great that John's able tonight to really give us the lowdown on how to get our orders in and what's going to be available. Because yeah, this is once in an opportunity, or lifetime opportunity, it really seems like. So it's great you showed up. And yeah, we're just going to let John take over when he's ready.
Before John takes over, John Rogers.
Good morning, Dave.
Hello,
Or
this is
afternoon.
Dave, and I'm greeting everyone. I'm the normal greeter at our door when we're having our meetings, but because we're not there, I just want to say hi and welcome to everyone. Glad to see some Escondido people joining us, Corey and Lena, and others from other areas in the state. But thanks and welcome, and we appreciate, John Valenzuela, your input. And UC Davis is a force to be reckoned with as far as plant world in California. They and UC Riverside and some of the other UCs are really what promote and help us keep going with our fruit in California. Thank you.
Very good, Dave.
Thank you, David.
Hello, John. I would like to mention something to you. You know, many years ago, I heard about the UC Davis giving cuttings. That's how I got my 20 types of pomegranates, the best ones I ever had, with soft seeds, and they grew very well. That was a very good program. That's
Excellent.
very nice that you're going to talk about that today. You're doing a good job.
Thank you, Pat. Indeed, it's. I think we many of us in the rare fruit growers have had those materials pass through our hands and maybe got in the ground, and maybe we've eaten fruit from them. And so I do want to acknowledge all that and just clarify things. And I'm going to give you the short story right now, just in a few minutes here. And then if you're interested, I will go on for maybe another half an hour or so and really kind of dive in more to what's out there, so to speak, and how we can really optimize our group's interest and our propagation and just sharing all this. I want to thank everyone who's made it here on such short notice. The deadline for this order is at the end of October, so we have a few weeks. And I just wanted, and I have just sent out the invitation to all chapter leadership, or whoever receives the email for each chapter has just been sent an invitation just minutes ago. And in that email, you have all the directions on specifically how to place the order through our Google form. And the short of it is, because of lack of funding, because of an overwhelm with the demand for these cuttings, and some of us have ordered commonly available varieties. Some of us have ordered the same varieties over and over, year after year, and they haven't had as much feedback. The source, the USDA, has not had enough feedback from us about the performance of these varieties that we've gotten from them over the years. And so, without blaming anyone or pointing any fingers, I would just say that they're doing too good of a job there by enticing us with these tastings and all these things that they have over there. And they became overwhelmed. Within just the last 5 years, they were getting hundreds and hundreds of orders from individual CRFG members who had attended these things or had found out, and they just couldn't do it anymore. They were sending out, instead of sending everything out in January, we were receiving some of our orders into May because it just took that long for them to get the orders together, package them up, and send them out. And so there's a new system, and it's very simple. John Priest told us, look, we can't have this many orders. You need to aggregate these orders into one singular order. And the maximum that we'll let you ask for is 20 varieties. Now, that's for our entire 2,000 member, CRFG. It's real simple when you break it down to, we have about 20 chapters, a few more. And so to me, it seemed really simple, one order per chapter. So that just made it really simple. 20 choices, 20 chapters.
He landed. He landed, so I'm leaving.
So I hear some background noise. If you'd like to mute yourself, that would be great. Unless you're asking a question, maybe you could type it into the chat.
John, I muted you. I muted everybody. So you're at the
Here, am I back?
There you are. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So that's the simple solution. One order per chapter, and that's it. So I'm leaving it up to every chapter to figure out how they want to make that decision. You know, up here in Northern California, we're used to ordering a dozen or more varieties, and that's not how it's anymore for us. But to be fair, we wanted to make sure that every chapter had access to this particular collection that's in Davis. And let me be clear, this is the USDA collection. This is not the University of California. Let's not confuse the two, but I want to talk about both of them tonight if you have time to hang out a little bit longer with me. But that's the short of it. Every chapter gets one selection, and the chapter, whoever gets that chapter email at crfg.org, you know, with your chapter there, you will have the directions, you'll have the link to that single order Google form that you can send us, and we'll collaborate, coordinate, and get those shipped to you when we receive them. So that's the main thing. Thank you very much. Good night. No, there's more. So I want to take you through a little slideshow that talks about all the different sources of science that relate to this, and specifically this particular collection, and how great it's been, or being able to interact with it up north here. So if I may, any quick comments or questions here before I jump in? No, there's a quick question already. 20 varieties per chapter, regardless of fruit, 20 science total, 20 varieties of type. Let me be clear, one selection per chapter. That's all you have to worry about. And that's the invitation that everybody's gotten in the email just minutes ago. So there's each chapter gets to choose one, because we only get 20 requests total for the entire CRFG membership. And I'll explain why if you want to stick around. But yes, Carol, I can send you separately the CRFG, that invitation. And so if there's not any other quick comments or questions, I will proceed to do a screen share. Does that sound good? I'm getting the thumbs myself here. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to share. Let's see. What am I doing? Let's see if I can do this with you all. Now, I'm going to try something a little tricky here, where I'm going to try to visit some websites live, and let's see if we can do that successfully while I'm doing the presentation. Okay. So it should say how each CRFG chapter can submit their sign order. All right, thank you. I see the thumbs up. So I'm going to play this and see if I can jump into some of these websites. So this is my contact information. If you have any specific questions about this in the future, please email me, and go ahead and call me in as many different ways, because I have way too many emails, and it may take you a couple times to get me. But please try to reach me at these two places: my Hotmail there, John Valenzuela at Hotmail, and my phone number there. Text or phone call, please. So this is what we're going to go over in the next little while here, 45 minutes or so. I'm going to talk about the vast array of fruit tree variety sources that we really have available to us. I will specifically also talk about the USDA, ARS, NCGR Davis collection, which is who we're talking about ordering from. For short, I'm calling it the USDA Davis collection. And also how the tastings there kind of created this snowball effect of popularity, and how it really changed the dynamics of how they could successfully fulfill their mission there in Davis. And then I want to lead you through a little bit through the national system, and looking at all the interesting collections that exist throughout the United States. Some of them tropical, like in Hawaii and in Puerto Rico and Miami, and others far north, like in Geneva, New York. And so I just wanted to kind of walk you through some of those other aspects of the system, and then show you how you can search for things through their extensive database system, which is really interesting. It not only it has extensive information on varietal descriptions and even things like Brix and days flowering and date ripening and all these things. So a huge database of thousands of accessions from all over the world. And then just a reminder of how we're going to be ordering one order per chapter. And then, of course, any more questions after all that. So here we go. Let's see here if I can proceed. Oh, there we go. So there's a wide variety of places that we can get fruit trees from. I'll go through these. There are sign exchanges, local and regional ones, all the nurseries that are available to us. And then all these collections, whether they're government, university, industry, etc. These are very well organized and documented collections. And I'll talk about a few of them, which Davis is certainly a part of, but I'll talk about a couple of other ones too. So our sign exchanges are kind of the heart for me of what drew me into the California Rare Fruit Growers, is this beautiful free giving practically and sharing of all these propagation pieces here, whether they're seeds or cuttings, cuttings that you could root, or scions that more specifically need to be grafted onto something else, and hence our need to learn about rootstocks and grafting, etc. Much of these pieces cannot be rooted, but many can. And so that makes it easy when you have figs, grapes, and pomegranates and currants and things like this. So easy to root by just by a cutting. But then it becomes a problem when you've got apricots and nectarines and things that just won't grow like that. You really have to figure out, okay, what am I going to graft this onto? And so that's where I learned all this from California Rare Fruit Growers. In addition to our own backyards, you will see material showing up at our sign exchanges from various places. Some are kind of community gardens or food forests that are being initiated, or just in parks, botanical gardens, and arboretums that are right on the edge. They're not quite necessarily university or government collection, but they are, part of a whole kind of academic network where they kind of really pay attention to where their plants are coming from, what their names are, and they're very careful about labeling. There's a lot of botanical gardens like that and arboretums that we get material from. And then there's also commercial orchards that you will see donating their material to our sign exchanges. So up here in Northern California, we have Andy Mariani contributing, a fraction of his immense stone fruit collection. We get to collect signs from the Filoli estate, which is a kind of a historic estate that C. Todd Kennedy and others helped revive the gentleman's orchard with varieties that were from 1920 and prior. And so also at Emma Prush Park, our Santa Clara Valley chapter maintains a scion cutting orchard there at Emma Prush Park in San Jose, where we cut hundreds of varieties and give them away in events like this. This is the Central Coast chapter. You may recognize some Central Coast people there in this particular view. But this, I think, is really at the heart of what we do because it's local. We know that local varieties are going to be successful. Or if we know they're marginal, we have that local experience and that we can help each other with it. The problem with getting things from far away is we don't always know how they're going to grow in our area. So let's see here. So nurseries. I think that all of us want to support these nurseries. We've lost several nurseries. Let me say this. A lot of the nurseries that have been started 30, 40 years ago, the people who started them are getting older and they want to pass it along. Some of them have closed completely like Bear Creek Nursery, or what's the other one up here? Oh gosh, L.E. Cook. L.E. Cook Nursery just closed doors, basically. So it's sad to see those not continue because we valued them so much. Then again, I'll talk about here some nurseries that have changed ownership and that are in new, younger hands, let's say, and will be carrying on. So let's go through a few of them. I'm going to be talking about some wholesale, some retail, and certainly mail order sources. And at the bottom there, I'll remind everyone that on the CRFG website, there is a list of member nurseries. And of course, we would love you to support those nurseries if you're able to. They're, they're members of California Rare Fruit Growers, and we want to support them. And so you'll find links to them in the, if you click through the crfg.org website, you'll find the nursery sources there. But let's go through a few of these. Dave Wilson Nursery, probably, I'm sure, is the largest fruit tree grower in North America. Well, at least the West, for sure. They do about 5 to 6 million fruit trees a year. And most of what they're doing is for commercial orchards, but they do a fantastic service to us all in selling the home yard, the home garden fruit trees. And so please spend some time on this website. In the home garden section, you'll find really excellent information on kind of cramming a lot of trees together in our backyards like we like to do. They certainly sell multi-grafted trees also, but their information is very clear, and they always have a tag telling you what the rootstock is. They'll tell you the chill hours, the pollination needs, the seasonality of it. And they have some really nice old varieties amongst some very new ones, all the new Floyd Zeiger stuff, which we can't share by cuttings until the patents are off. And that's a whole nother talk. Maybe I'll do another time, is patents and trademarks as it concerns us as backyard growers. But let's just say,
recording in progress.
I heard something about a recording there.
Yeah, sorry about that. We got
That's
to talk
okay.
and I forgot to record, but we got it now.
Okay, good. We're recording. Welcome, everyone. We're just talking about some nurseries as a source of places to get fantastic plant varieties. And Dave Wilson Nursery has also a fantastic harvest calendar, harvest chart. It's a big calendar. It's online. You can just find it online and get a digital version, or they'll even send you a copy you can put on your wall. And what it tells you is the harvest period of all the different varieties. So apples, you can get apples as early as July and as late as, New Year's. And so they have it all mapped out, the early, middle, late season one, same with all the stone fruit, on and on and on. All the varieties they sell, they have on this calendar. So for deciduous fruit trees, it's a fantastic resource. They don't do many evergreens or subtropicals, Dave Wilson Nursery. They do all their business, mostly bare root, but they're starting to do more and more potted plants, you'll see now. So yeah, Dave Wilson Nursery is a fantastic resource. I highly recommend it. Another wholesale nursery down in Southern California, you folks know, is Laverne. And again, they don't, let me finish with Dave Wilson. Both Laverne and Dave Wilson are not retail nurseries. You don't go there and pick up trees. What they do is they sell to what we call them nurseries, but they're really garden centers. Most places where you buy plants and fertilizer and stuff aren't really nurseries. They don't propagate trees themselves. They just resell trees. And that's great. So I call them garden centers. So Dave Wilson Nursery and Laverne sell to big box stores like Lowe's and Home Depot, but they also sell to little mom and pop garden centers, and even proper nurseries that propagate their own trees will buy from them too. So don't expect to, when you look online as to what they offer, you're going to have to order through a local nursery or big box store or something. And so, for example, Dave Wilson Nursery has a deadline for what they call their special order fruit trees. And that deadline's coming up within the next week or two. Oh no, it's the beginning of November, I think. So yeah, you have a few weeks to contact your local nursery and say, hey, I want to get on the Dave Wilson Nursery or Laverne special order fruit tree thing. I'll prepay. I want to make sure that I'm going to get the exact varieties I want. Otherwise, you're just going to show up to the store and see what they have. But they, there's so many varieties, they can't order them all. So if you want to make sure you get the specific variety you're interested in, go ahead and make that special or fruit tree order with Dave Wilson. I'm not sure how Laverne does it, but you can talk to your local nurseries, and if they carry Laverne stuff, say, hey, I want to get these things that you haven't ordered lately. So some other ones that are not really brick and mortar, but they're actual buildings you can walk into, or places you can go to, and buy trees that you're looking at. And I'll mention one from I knew from many years ago when I lived down in Sandiego myself. I'll mention Stephen Spangler's Exotica Rare Fruits. A lot of seedlings there. There's so much going on there. They have trouble sometimes keeping track of who's who, but there's a lot of good seedlings there, and there are some air layers and some grafted varieties there too. Just watch the labels. But that was one of our first, I remember going there and having fig and banana tastings there in the mid 80s is when I first discovered those. Both Stevens, in fact, were back then. And then, of course,
John, can I interject something here about Exotica?
Sure.
If you mention to Steve that you're a CRFG member, he will give you a discount, as will Clausen Nursery, Gordy Clausen, just up the road from Steve.
That's excellent. And yeah, I would ask anywhere you go for, hey, do you give a discount for the rare fruit growers? That's a great, thank you for reminding us of that. That's really great to know. I use a local discount up here at Harmony Farm Supply up here in Sebastopol all the time. And that's a great benefit of being a member. Another one up in Simi Valley area, if I'm not mistaken, is the Papaya Tree Nursery, the Silbers. And so that's being kind of passed on to the younger Silber now. And another great place. You have to coordinate, you have to make a reservation or an appointment. But that is a place that is growing trees that you can go up to and get them from. Now, I wanted to talk, and there's many more. I'm just throwing out a few that you may or may not know. And please share within your chapter and share with us all maybe some other resources of others that you think are worth mentioning. These last 5 here are in the mail order realm. Now, some of them do have retail places that you can go pick up or visit. And some, it's you have to just call them and make an appointment or something. But a few I'll mention in Los Angeles. Of course, there's more than one mimosa nursery now. There's several of them throughout Los Angeles now into Orange County, and they do some online stuff too. So look for Mimosa Nursery online. But of course they're going to have a wider selection, often in person, than what they can ship. So you may want to visit them too. But if you're not in the Los Angeles area, it's just an opportunity there. Now, when it comes to apple trees, the old Sonoma Antique Apple Nursery was just a shining light up here in Northern California. And it was recently transformed into, or some 10 years ago or more, into Trees of Antiquity. And still they do grow organically, many of their trees, and they carry hundreds of varieties of apples. It's just fantastic, and other trees too. Interestingly, Rolling River Nursery also went through some changes and changed hands, and now it's being run by a group called Planting Justice. And it's also, they grow their trees organically, and they had one of the largest selections of organic fruit trees available in the US, about 1,000 varieties. They're, with the whole transition to moving it to actually the Bay Area here. I just visited their mother tree orchard last week, and they're trying to boost up the amount of, the trees and everything. And so a lot of their materials out of stock, but please support them and get what they have and let them know that you're interested in more. The last 2, Rain Tree and One Green World, are great for us northern. If you're interested in northern fruits, One Green World's in Oregon, and Rain Trees up in Washington. So if you're interested in cold hardy persimmon varieties, or if you've heard of the Haskaps, the Lonicera berries, you know, they have those up there, or sea buckthorn, you know, they have all this kind of stuff up there. And let's click on, let's just click on a couple of these and see what happens here. If I can actually, oh, it might do it. It might do it. I have maybe the possibility of visiting a website here. So yeah, Dave Wilson Nursery, remember they have a commercial, retail and home garden section. So see, it says here for growers, for nurseries, click on that home garden. Look at how much they do out there. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's why they graft all their stuff in the summer. They do their budding in the summer because they're digging up all these trees bare root in the winter. They don't have any time for bare root. They don't have any time for dormant grafting. They're digging up all these trees to sell. So they do all their grafting, their budding in the summertime. So yeah, the selection here is amazing, and the information is great. So backyard orchard culture is all their intensive pruning stuff. And so
Hey, John, we can't see your screen. We still see the slide.
oh, is that right?
Yeah.
That's terrible. I thought I was being all fancy and getting this online. So I will move ahead then. Okay, be that as it may, let's move on. So talking about these government, university, and industry collections, oh, this is going to be unfortunate because I had hoped I should have done some screenshots, but here's what I'm going to talk to you about. There's three that I'm going to mention tonight: UC Davis Plant Foundation Services, the Citrus Clonal Protection Program, and the USDA ARS NCGR, which is what we call the collection at Davis, the USDA collection at Davis at Wolfskill. So the UC Davis Plant Foundation Services, again, separate from the USDA, this is the University of California, Davis, has a collection of plants that they have a strict protocol for ensuring that these are disease-free materials that they're going to send to you. And this is important for nurseries and large orchards where they have so many plants that if they have an infection sweep through there, they're going to have big problems, and they don't want to promote that. And so all the plants they have here are tested over and over and over for different kinds of plant diseases that are specific to those species. And they have these clean selections of these plants, and they're increasing them constantly. More and more varieties are being added. They have not only cuttings and scions, or let's say this, they not only have cuttings to start like rootstock or you know, plants that can be started by cuttings, but they also have scions that you can graft and budding material for summer budding. They have summer cut stuff, but they also have seedlings. Many of our rootstocks are started by seed. So they have thousands of seeds that you can buy of probably a couple of dozen species or varieties and species. So the Plant Foundation Services, it's a little bit pricey, but you know you're getting the cleanest material. And if you're going to start like a mother garden or something like that, this is what I would be looking for. If you want to do a nursery, or if you're doing starting a collection, you know, yes, a lot of our figs have virus. A lot of our apples have virus, but why not start with something that's clean and try to keep it as clean as possible? So that's what the UC Davis Plant Foundation Services, that's what they do. And their winter order deadline is coming up at the end of this month. So check out the UC Davis Plant Foundation Services. The citrus, here, let me go here. So here's, yeah, they have the treat prices here. So yeah, it's fps.ucdavis.edu. And just, yeah, their Plant Foundation Services is tree.cfm. And then they have, just click through and you'll find the treat prices and when you should order. And then there's a little form. You have to, you know, register with them and everything. So the Citrus Clonal Protection Program was established back in the 50s to try to clean up, so to speak, a lot of the diseases that had been collected down at the UC Riverside collection I've gone down there with friends and we've attended some of their field days, and their collection is extensive. Started over 100 years ago. They have over 1,000 varieties of citrus down there. And over the years, from importing things and just from all over the world and everything, a lot of diseases collected there. And so what they wanted to do is start a new place where they had trees that were disease-free that they could propagate from. So they started this program up in Lynn Cove, which, if you don't know, is about halfway between Fresno and Bakersfield, just at the base of the foothills there, just up out of the valley floor where it's not so frosty. And this is a major citrus growing area that they have the extension center there at Lynn Cove, and they have some field plantings, and they have these huge greenhouses that keep about 300 varieties of citrus in isolation, so no bugs can carry any diseases to them. They're constantly being tested, and you can order from them. And in fact, the only legal way to propagate citrus in California, as you may know, people down in Southern California know about this because they're living next to the whole ACP, Asian citrus psyllid, Hunglong Bing citrus greening outbreak that's happening down there. But for the rest of us who may not know, the only way to legally propagate citrus for decades now is through obtaining the certified disease-free material from either the Citrus Clonal Protection Program or another nursery that has certified disease-free scions that they will sell you. And so you can find those online. And so they will, as far as the Citrus Clonal Protection Program bud ordering, there's our friend, fruitmentor.com. His name's escaping me right now. He just moved to Australia, but fruitmentor.com, if you look through his stuff, he does a lot of great grafting videos, but he has a whole video on just ordering citrus budwood and grafting citrus trees with it on fruitmentor.com. And somebody can remind me of his name. It just escaped me. But the whole idea is that they're cutting every week. They will send you a package. 3 days later, it'll show up on your doorstep, and you'll have fresh budwood to graft with. Of course, you have to have some kind of rootstock to graft onto. But so it's 300 varieties. There's a lot to choose from, and you can go to their website and you can look through and see which ones they are offering. And lastly, oops, let's see here. What have I done? There we go. I'm trying to move ahead here. There we are. So now we come to the subject of our discussions with ordering this material. This is who we're talking about now. The USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, their Agricultural Research Service has something called the National Clonal Germplasm Repository. That big mouthful is just how, there are seed banks. Well, when you can't save something by seed because it's too variable and you need cuttings and to propagate it vegetatively, you have a germplasm repository, which is basically a big orchard and also greenhouses. They keep the material. And so the collections here, they'll be outlined in the invitation that I sent out to each chapter. And let me see if I can remember them all. Certainly they have stone fruit, which includes cherries, peaches, plums, apricots, any of the hybrids between those, and nectarines. So that's the stone fruit that they carry. So Davis holds the fruit, nut, and grape collections. And so I'm going to list a few more, and then I can talk about the other collections that are found throughout the United States. Davis also holds the grapes, the figs, the pomegranates, the kiwi, the pistachios and walnuts are all held there. There's some other ones I'm forgetting, but persimmon, did I mention that? So anyway, they have a large collection, and if you go to this link here, which I'm sorry, I'm not able to just pull these up live and share the screen with you. Oh, you know what I can do? This is what I can do. I'm going to stop share and then try to bring this other screen in. Hold on. Bring your share. I'm going to stop share. Let me see if I can just do this real fast, because this would be great. Old computers, you know, they take time. So I am going to see if I can be patient here. I want to share this other screen
John,
with you.
regarding Fruit Mentor, I think you're thinking of Dan Wiley or Willie.
Dan Wiley, thank you. Yes,
Oh,
Dan unfortunately has moved away to Australia, I hear. So, but he's still active on his. So here's what I'm going to show you now. This takes a little bit longer. My computer's, you know, kind of old. We're all getting older, right? So this is, can everybody see this screen now that says the GRIN Global Genetic Resource Collections?
Yes, we
Great.
can see it.
Yep.
Excellent. So watch this. GRIN, let me see here if I can shrink this down so I can see everything. Okay. GRIN, both provides data and compiles references to databases. So this is, they collect the data for all these collections. So here's the gene bank map. So this is also related to a global project, but here we are, Davis, there's Parlor. I mentioned Riverside that has the citrus and apparently some dates, but I'll end up here. Let's go all the way over here to Beltsville, Washington. There is a plant introduction station there, and they have a quarantine station there in Beltsville. But let's look up at Geneva, New York. And that's the National Germplasm Repository in Geneva. And they have an apple collection, tart cherries, and a bunch of grapes up there in New York. We have more grapes than they have, but they have their own collection there. And then they also have a plant introduction station there that has a collection of alliums, apiums, artichokes, all these plant annuals, mostly, well, some perennials, but so if we clicked on the apple collection in Geneva, New York here, it's loading. And so there's, you know, here's the collection. Let's click on species here. And they have all this classifying ciders. They have all these interesting articles, but let's look up malice or all the, apple species. And so you can, let's see, our Malus domestica, I would call it, is our common apple. You can look at all these other, you know, the crab apples. There's so many species there to look from, but just a quick click on Malus domestica, which is our, you know, our apple. So what are they showing here? They're showing, let's see if they mentioned, they have accessions. Accessions are individual plants that they collected from somewhere. They may be repetitions of specific varieties, but they're unique collections of a plant. So accessions that they have in their collection, over 2,000, of which 1,400 are active, and they have available 1,282 varieties of apples. That's amazing. So you can do this. I'm going to go back now. You can do this with all these different collections. And what I want to do is focus on a couple that might interest us as rare fruit growers. Certainly Geneva has something interesting if you want to dive into apples and grapes. Looking at our more interesting tropical ones. Yes, Miami, Mayagüez, Puerto Rico, and Hilo all have collections. Now, I don't know what the status is. I don't know these people, but I'm looking at Miami now, and they have a collection of avocados, caimitos, canastel, coconuts, jabuticaba. Look at that, jackfruit, mango, carambola. That's exciting. White sapote, they don't have very many. I clicked through on that, and they only have half a dozen named varieties, of which we have none in California, I don't think. Maybe one or two, but we have lots in California here already. But anyway, my point is they have 300 varieties of mangoes or more, just amazing collections. I don't know them. I don't know how they share their material. I don't know what the timing is, but you can contact them. The other one I want to just click on quickly for interest is the one in Puerto Rico, known as cacao. Mame, of course, they're in the Caribbean there. Sugarcane, they have a big sugarcane collection. I looked through that. They have about a dozen Hawaiian varieties there. Very interesting. Speaking of which, let's go visit Hilo, Hawaii. I lived in this part of Hawaii, and I have visited this repository many times and have gone to events there. And there is possibility of sharing some of this material when done well, and including different kinds of guavas, lychees, macadamias, I think are all important possibilities for us here in California. Pili nut could be another one too, even pineapples. But so anyway, there is a lot of really interesting stuff out there. Let's zoom in. Oh, parler, dryland stuff, cacti. Oh, I'm reading now as I hover over it, cacti, oil seeds, and biofuel crops. They have a big collection of opuntia, the prickly pear cactus there. But let's dive into the subject. Oh, Corvallis. I forgot Corvallis. They have a bunch of pears and berries and a few kinds of nuts up there also. They have the hardy kiwis also in Corvallis. But I've clicked on Davis now. Yeah, let's just do Corvallis real quick. Blue honeysuckle is what I was talking about. The haskaps, chestnuts, goji, hazel, medlars, pawpaws. Not very good of a collection, or they just don't have a lot of information online. They have the quince collection up there. And when you go through and visit their site, they have a lot of really great research on each of those. So let's go back to, sorry for jumping around here. Let's go back to Davis, because this is why we're here. These are the species that you can choose from, each chapter getting one variety of all these, not of each one, not 20. Of all these, you get to pick one species, one variety, one. You get one choice. So for example, I was interested, so any of, we've gone to these tastings, and I'll show you pictures later, but figs and grapes, and in September, we've gone to late November, kiwi fruit tastings, spring mulberry tastings, etc. For example, I want to look for a kiwi fruit. I would click through here and just go down and see if I want a golden fleshed kiwi, because they're not really selling golden fleshed kiwis. There's the Zespris, I can't get them. I can't buy a golden fleshed kiwi. So I'm going to go for the Deliciosa, and maybe there are other hybrids I'm not aware of, but I'm going to go for Deliciosa here and see if I can get some descriptors going here. And what I'll show you is common names, nomenclature. So Actinidia chinensis. Let's just click on one of these here. Oh, chinensis. Oh, those are antonyms, not that. What am I doing here? I want to get to distribution. Oh, that's where it comes from, the world common names. Yeah, I wanted to get to, yeah, it takes a while, I don't do this enough actually, but I just did it the other night. I was trying to look at, yeah, I was clicking through. So here's another way. We'll do another way later to get to the actual selections. I'll show you that in a minute.
Another good source on that, though, also, John, is our CRFG Fruit Facts. That has an awful lot of the descriptions as far as like the coloration of the fruit and other things.
So what you can do is, I'll show you. I'll go back now. I'm going to see if I can get into the Grin. Let me go back and see if I can just get a link. So I'm going to stop share, go back to my slideshow for a moment. Thanks for being patient. I want to just click through a few more things and we're going to be about done. Let's see here. So let me see my presentation here. So, right. Now I'm going to share this screen with you. specifically for, oh, there's Grin. There you are. I lost you guys for a minute here. Screen share. Coming right up. So I'm going to go here first. So are we looking at the USDA ARS NCGR Davis collection? So this is, again, the collection of fruit tree and nut crops at Davis. And so let me see if I can open this one up and share it with you. A little awkward. I'm learning how to transfer back and forth between these things here. And so let's see if I can do this now. Screen share. And this is where you'll actually be able to find the variety you can order. That's what I'm trying to get to here. Okay, so everybody sees the USDA ARS, the Agricultural Research Service, National Colonial Germplasm Repository, Tree Fruit Nut Crops at Davis. This is where I have directed your chapter leadership to, with a little, kind of walkthrough of how to do this. These are the people who you want to give feedback to. Now, you could go individually if you have something that's really fantastic that you really like and you want to give them feedback on its disease resistance, productivity, the quality of the fruit. There are people here who are the leaders in particular collections. For example, Jeff Molsfelder is in charge of the pomegranate collection. Bernard Prinz is in charge of the grape collection. John Priest is he's recently retired, unfortunately for us, but good for him. John Priest was the lead researcher there, and he was who I directed most of my correspondence with when it came to the overall collection. But you may choose to contact Mary Parker as a point person because she manages communications in the office there. Jenny Smith oversees several collections, including olives, persimmons, kiwi. She has a lot of different ones, and I haven't mentioned everybody there. So you can see mostly what they're doing is preserving things and making them available to breeders and researchers, but also they want to distribute them to other people, but it's less in their priorities. So we're going to click on here, orders and services. And so they're just saying here that they acquire things through expeditions that they carry out throughout the world collecting stuff. And this is what David Fairchild did, and Frank Meyer, going to Asia and all over the world, bringing mangoes to Florida, and the Meyer lemon to California, to Chico there. So they also trade with other institutions, and then they have contributions from university researchers, plant breeders, botanical gardens, arboreta, private collections, and hobbyists. That's us. So, for example, C. Todd Kennedy donated probably half or more of the stone fruit collection that's at Davis. And he's one of our local fruit historians, I would call him. So anyway, so all this is to say you cannot order through this system here. What I want you to do is research varieties with this system by using this, the GRIN, the Germplasm Resources Information Network Global. Yes, but you cannot order from them. Please don't. They don't want your order. Please send the order to me, not directly, but through your chapter's single choice Google form. And so this is where you search, and you can do simple searches, advanced searches. If you have a variety name that you know, you can type it in and search, but this is the key to everything you want here. So if I want kiwi yellow, let's see what happens. Isn't this fun? You just spend up hours doing this, like hours. But it helps if you have some recommendations from somebody. Okay, so now some of these have yellow in their names, so you want to click on them on that. This is exactly what you need to send us. Your chapter will pick one of these. It'll have a name and it'll have a number, and all these numbers and names, that's the only thing we need, just one per chapter. And do not send it individually to me. No, it's got to come through this Google form. But here we have several selections here, and El Dorado is one that I thought might be interesting because it is a yellow-fleshed kiwi. So anyway, availability shows in these shopping carts, and if it's, you have to also choose the repository. It has to be Davis. If it's not in Davis, you better go somewhere else. This is Corvallis. So if you want that one, you better talk to Corvallis. See this here? So this is the repository. DAV is the only one, and you could put that in your search too. Oh, here's another tip. Show 10 rows. If you have more than 10 in your search result, you want all. Just click on all and they'll all come, so you don't have to page through. I like to just scroll down. We only have 5 results here, so it's not a big thing, but if you have over 100 results, you just want to scroll. You want to do show all scrolls, and then maybe you'll click in here and you'll put DAV, and that'll see how it just sorted that quick. Now my results are kiwi yellow in the Davis collection. Boom, I've got these 4 varieties that I want to click on, and then I'll read more about each one. And the amount of information in this database is vast. I mean, you could spend a lot of time pouring through it, but for this particular variety, let's see. See, they have accessions descriptors. You can like upload or download a whole spreadsheet with this information on it. But it talks about where it was collected, when it was received. It has 5 images. So let's click on some of these images just to see if they show the inside of the fruit by chance. There's the leaf shape. Oh, there's, yeah, see, now that looks like the zespri type. It's not very fuzzy, and I've read the fruit description here. Oh, that's just photographs. But anyway, I've read the fruit description, and it was yellow inside on this one. So this is kind of what you might be doing to come across something rare and unusual that you've never heard before, that's not available through a sign exchange or a nursery or some collection near you. And so this is what I'm trying to show you that is valuable about this collection, and why, you know, why we're putting so much effort into this is to make these available, but also give feedback to the collection itself. And so with that, I think I'm going to return to my slideshow and wrap up here. So if you indulge me here, thank you for being patient. And I think there's just a couple of more slides. And like I said, you know, please contact your chapter leadership. And if you are a chapter leader and you have not received this invitation, please contact me, and I will send it to you directly. But I did use the contact information that is found on the CRFG Inc. mother, website, crfg.org website. So I'm going to see if I can continue my little program here to the end. Sorry, it's taking me a little bit. Here, this is what happened. They started inviting us out there. And so we went to these tastings. This is Jeff Morsfelder in November with 18 varieties of pomegranates. And Edgar Valdivia was mentioning how, I've seen him up there all the way from Simi Valley. He came all the way up to Winters. The Wolf Skill collection, where they actually have all the trees grown out, is near Davis, but not in Davis. It's at the old Wolfskill Farm, which is an historic farm, one of the first ones from the 1830s. And it's an amazing place, owned by the University of California. So the USDA actually leases land from the university. And so the USDA had their big collection in Chico of a lot of stuff, a lot of pomegranates and different things. And they brought it all down to this spot to where they have all these crops that I mentioned in that long list. And so by doing this, they got us hooked. We came, and every time there would be something new, some old familiar ones. They had soft seeds. They had all these different flavors like wine and all this stuff. And so I remember going out there 15 years ago when it was Jeff and me and about 5 other people in a small table. And there was some people speaking Farsi and from the Middle East who had their own cultivars that they were trying to show off to Jeff, these big, beautiful pomegranates. And it was very small. And now you go, it's over 100 people at these tasting events. And so it's gone through a whole evolution. And because of this, the popularity of it, the availability of it has been overused, as I mentioned earlier. Too many people ordering in general has slowed it down to the point where they can't get the material out in January or February or even March or April. They're sending it out as late as May because there's just so many orders. People are placing orders as individuals for 10 different varieties. And there's just no way you can graft all those. It's impossible. So hopefully they're coming up to sign exchanges, but now we can't do it anymore. Lack of funding. There are unfulfilled positions at the USDA where budget cuts, they just don't have the staff. And also we were ordering things that should not be ordered. Common varieties like people were ordering red flame grapes, seedless grapes. That's just ridiculous. Go to Home Depot and buy a red flame grape. Do not bother these people. They have a big research thing going on. Go for these rare varieties, something you've never heard of. And then people were ordering the same things over and over year after year. And then they weren't hearing anything back. They were putting out all this material and no one was giving them any feedback. So those are the main reasons. And so this is where we're at. And so we have a new system, and that's where we're at. So we've already been through that. The invitation has been sent. So please refer to that, contact me. And this is the next step. Once you place this order by October 31st, I will aggregate them all and submit them by November 1st, the next day. Sometime between January and May, January and probably April, we will receive them, and I will contact each chapter that ordered anything and arrange a shipment. You will have to prepay the shipment cost. It'll be a flat rate, whatever it is, $15 or something, 10, $15, I can't remember. Less than $20 for shipping, and a little bit we're not trying to make money off of this at all. And we will get them shipped out to you as soon as is practical for us. And so your job as a chapter is to distribute these to the people who can make more plants. Like some of our sign exchanges, we sacrifice a lot of material because people are newbies, they're the learners. But with this material, please make sure it gets in the hands of your best propagators. Make sure that they know how to do the cuttings, they have to root the cuttings, or if they have to be grafted, make sure there are rootstocks available that are the appropriate size and quality for you to put this material onto when you receive it. And make sure it gets spread out to those kinds of people with the goal of increasing them just like they do there and sharing the scions from your mother trees. That way you become a source rather than a sink. So we're producing this material rather than keeps disappearing and disappearing. Also, the third thing here, distribution, propagation, and lastly, evaluation. So please, as you grow these out, if you enjoy them, if you think they're special and unique, please contact the USDA collection at Davis and let them know what is special about them, what problems you had, if they were susceptible to certain diseases or pests. Give them some feedback. That makes them look good. They integrate that into their database, and this shows that they're making value. You know, that this is your federal tax dollars at work. And so let's work with these folks. That's it for my talking points. I would love to entertain any questions or clarify anything. Thanks for letting me go on and through my little stiffness with the computer here. But
so
I'm
John,
open to any questions.
John, it's Graham.
Hey, Graham.
I think you want to clarify that how many cuttings we get, it varies how many cuttings we actually get of each
That's a good
thing we
point.
request.
Thank you. That's a good point. So depending on the productivity, the health, the vigor of the individual trees in the collection, for example, they have some that are out in the field. They're not overly watered or fertilized. Maybe they get a little bit of herbicide application. They're just taken care of. And so some of them are very productive and have lots of shoots, and we'll get huge bundles of material. And others are very kind of rare and slow growing. And so we might get just a few sticks. So it has been our experience with this in sharing with the chapters up here in Northern California over the years, that what we can do is when there is an abundance of material, say we get 20 sticks, a bundle this big, sometimes we'll get 20 sticks or more, and they're 18 inches long. We could easily cut those in half into 9-inch long pieces and producing up to 40, and we can give the original people that ordered it 10 cuttings and still have 30 left over to give a few to the other chapters perhaps that placed an order also. So it is very much likely that you may get a few to several more varieties than you ordered. So you may order one variety each. That's all we get to request, but because of the abundance of material they may send us, if you ordered something, you're going to get a decent amount. And if there's extra, we're going to give a little bit more to the other chapters. Now, if it's a very small amount, the chapter that ordered will get the majority of it for sure. And if there's any possibility of somebody in Northern California that's a really good caretaker of it, we might decide to keep one stick of it just to make sure we have some up here. We're making those decisions, and you're going to have to trust us. Graham has been there with us managing these decisions as we're dividing them all up and help distribute them in Northern California. And we promise that we'll do our best to certainly get you what you ordered. And that's not always going to be possible. They may have it online and there may be a problem with it this year. So we're not guaranteeing anything other than we'll do our best. And we'll try to make it as fair as possible. But thank you, Graham. That is an important detail to understand. You could get a dozen sticks or you could get one or two. Depends on what you have and what they send us, what you've selected and what they send us. Excellent point. Thank you. So wait, one sign repest per group. Yes, yes, yes. If I haven't made that clear, let me say it one more time. One order, one variety for each chapter, period. That's it. No individual request or anything. Get together with your chapter, figure out which one you want to select, and that's it, okay?
Not really.
Say that again?
Well, you have about, what, 3,000, 4,000 varieties, and you want each chapter to pick one.
Oh, you don't have to order, but this is the only way you're going to, because it's been abused. They don't have the staffing. It's just unfeasible. So if you're doing research, if you're a university researcher, if you're a commercial nursery, or if you have any business or academic bona fides, please contact them directly and make your own individual order if you're at that level. But if you're a CRFG member, they will reject your individual request. They're no longer doing backyard hobby distribution because they were overwhelmed. So if each one of our chapters orders one variety, and we order 20 varieties a year, and your chapter will certainly get the one you ordered. And like I said, like Graham mentioned, you may get 2 or 3 other varieties. So you may get 4 varieties a year. How many people in your chapter are going to be able to reproduce those and create that as a sustainable mother tree stock from now on? Or will you be continually trying to order more and more? See, this is the problem. The more you get something, the less value it is. By only getting one, maybe we'll take care of them better and actually respond to their request for some feedback. This is the situation. So as crazy it sounds, thousands of varieties, yeah, that's how it's working this year. And from now on until things change. Sorry to say.
John, do you know anything about the ordering procedure at the other repositories like Corvallis or the one in Geneva? Will they accept individual orders or CRFG orders as well?
I certainly have ordered as an individual from Corvallis and received material. If it's just a few of us, it's not going to be a problem. You know, so yeah, I would contact Miami, Corvallis, you know, Geneva, try to order as individuals from any of those other ones. I would try, write them a letter. But for Davis, it will be only through an aggregated order through the system we're introducing tonight.
Thanks.
You can, so I'm going to go through some of the, oh, hey, there's, yeah, Dan Wiley. Okay. Let me see if there's any more. Can't see the screen. Okay. John, you made 2, yes. Dan Wiley from Fruit Mentor. You can only choose one ever or year. Oh yeah, this is, so far it's happening every year. We did it last year for the first time in this way because we were just cut off. He said, yeah, no more. When we went to the tastings, he's like, that was the first thing he talked about. No more individual orders, one aggregated order for all of CRFG. 2,000 members, 7,000 varieties of fruit, 2,000 members, each chapter gets one order. That's the deal. That's the fairest we could figure it out. And so, yes, annually, one variety a year. The deadline for this year's ordering through our invitation with that Google form is at the end of this month. Yes, we can do this every year. Graham says some people are in multiple chapters and will have a chance to get more than one variety. If they do not belong to the Sandiego chapter, could I request a sign from your chapter if I said pretty please? That's up to the chapters. That's all I'm doing is doing what John Priest told us. One order of 20 selections for your entire group. That's what I'm doing. So I thought one order per chapter made sense. However you want to do it, if you want to share them or not share them or whatever you want to do. I know the problem does exist through people who are members, but who are not associated with a local chapter. They live in another state. They live somewhere else in the world. We don't have a way to accommodate them at this time. If you're one of those people, I would suggest, if you're not associated with a chapter, I don't know how you found out about this, but I'm excited that you have. But I would suggest that you contact any chapter and give a suggestion and see if you could maybe get some of this fun that we're having. But otherwise, that's all I can say. Go to a chapter and see what they can tell you. One scion only each year, yes. How many scions per each group, one ordered? Yes, we talked about that. Anywhere from 1 or 2 or 3 to a dozen sticks. John, will you be posting what is being ordered so clubs don't duplicate? We have had some duplication in the past, but it's not that common. But this is not, if there are duplications, I will contact those 2 individual duplicators of chapters that are sharing a duplication, and I will let them know that one or either of them could, order something else, and I'll make sure the other one gets it or something like that. But I'm not going to start posting things and getting feedback. That's too much of a long drawn out process, because basically I'm just going to aggregate and send it. And so you know, I might have that night, you know, so watch on October 31st, I might be emailing you if you're a chapter chair, you know, and coordinating this. So let's see, any other questions? Can we coordinate so chapters don't duplicate? So yes. So as imperfect as it is and as frustrating as it is, when we think of the 1,000 varieties there and so many of us, this is where we're at now. And I hope that looking at our local resources from our sign exchanges, local parks and arboretums and you know, collections close to you as a priority, looking at nurseries and the tens of thousands of varieties that you can get from nursery collections, and the other collections that are available through the National Germplasm Repository system, whether it's from Miami or Hilo or Corvallis or Geneva. There are many other places that are easier to get plant material, right? If that's the point of this talk tonight, lots of places to get plants. If you really, really want one from Davis, this is the way we're doing it now. So let's see. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 choices. The link has already been put out. The form has been in existence. That's a great suggestion. We'll discuss that and think about that for next year. I appreciate your input. Maybe we will have 1, 2, 3 kind of choices there. And the other one is, but not this year. We had a discussion of the Davis collection outcomes. Oh, some members wrote some reports and shared them with the contact people and felt that maybe no one had read those reports. How does that list of contact people collect and use the information? That's a great feedback. I appreciate that. And I want to follow up with you on that. So let's continue this discussion. Part of the problem now is because of the lack of funding of federal support. For example, when John Priest retires, there's now no longer a permanent leadership there. The head researcher, John Priest, has retired. They gave me the name of another woman. She's going to be there for 10 more days, and they don't know who's replacing her. So there's just this, it's a government bureaucracy, you know, so it has its problems. And so thank you for this feedback. I appreciate the efforts that you did, and this is exactly what they're asking me for. So that you did this and didn't get a response, I will follow up with them on this. And so thank you, Kathy. I will follow up with you on this. And this is exactly what they were asking for. So you did the right thing, and thank you. And so I'll see what happened there. And then, yeah, well, you know, this is a great question from Patrick. Oh, Patrick, good to hear from you. I have more to talk to you about this with database. We've been talking about databases for a while. Grin is an interesting model, but how can we make it more user-friendly? We have a lot of coders. We're here in the Bay Area. We could create an app or, you know, some kind of database thing. You know, it takes some coordination. It takes some advance. You know, it'd be great to have a database with all the varieties we all have, so we could just contact each other directly, you know, rather than having to fool around with these big systems, because we have a lot of stuff in our backyards. And the things that we don't have in our backyards, we should have identified where they are and why we might be interested in them. And new varieties, people are breeding in their own backyards, you know, doing their own cross-pollination. So Patrick Schumann's asking, how can we streamline this? Might there be a database, phenology, sign exchange, all these things? You know, because of COVID, the Santa Clara Valley chapter did an online virtual sign exchange that had a lot of the, had the beginning of this maybe. So this is something maybe we could talk about more, and is something that we could also bring up with CRFG Inc. I serve on the board, and this is, you know, this is something that we are talking about with the new, you know, website and everything. What more could we give? Thank you, everyone who is offering their support. Yeah, database, right. Yeah, you need, you know, where is that server going to be? Who's hosting that? So yeah, these are all really great suggestions. And I just want to acknowledge the folks who have invited me to, you know, share this. we're going to have this recording available for others who didn't, but pass the word. As narrow as it seems, it is a great opportunity. And through collaboration, I think we'll be able to get you more than probably just the one you've ordered. We'll do our best. And we just want to see you propagate those as best you can and spread those around as fast as you can, so we can really see if they're even worth growing. And if they are, let's just make sure that we're not, that we become a source of them. I think that's about it for my presentation. And unless there's any more live questions, I'm taking in these suggestions. I think I might be able to capture.
Graham's got a
chat.
question for you.
Sure. Yes. Who's got a question there?
Graham has his hand up.
Well, actually, John, you were saying you wanted to capture the comments.
Yeah, I think I did it.
So if anyone else wants to capture them, if you go to the bottom of that chat screen, you'll see 3 little dots. If you click on that, it lets you save the chat.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you for reminding me of that. Us all. And
Hey,
then
John. Oh,
yeah.
John, this is Irene. I mean, it's great that we have a database. I wonder if there's some way we can have a master database within the main chapter website, where people can log in and be able to just add what they have in their yard. And, you know, it's have to be like a spreadsheet, some type of spreadsheet set up in Google. I think there's a Google Excel spreadsheet out there that maybe we can use.
Yeah, that's beyond my capacity and my experience and expertise. But like I said, you know, these virtual sign exchange that the Santa Clara Valley chapter initiated and subsequently allowed some of us Northern California chapters to join in on, I thought was a great kind of prototype, a great beginning kind of model for something like this. And there was drop-offs and safe exchanges, you know, individuals leave it by the driveway and all these things. So people were safe while they were able to exchange things. And so, yes, I think there is room for this. I'm not a coder. I'm not that good with spreadsheets. So I'll leave it up to some other experts to raise, you know, to volunteer to start coordinating that. And like I said, they did it in Santa Clara Valley, and I thought it was, you know, a lot of plans changed hands. So yes, there's some other suggestions. Let's see. Yeah, where will the database be? All really great questions. And then let's see. Fang Liu made a handy app for our sign exchanges. Oh, that's interesting. That's in Southern California there. Please forward that to us. You know, maybe you could forward it to me, myself, or maybe you know, CRFG Inc. And I would like to hear about that handy app. And then model something like the Seed Savers Exchange, but for CRFG members. But it takes volunteers, coding, and a dedicated server space. Just so you know, there already exists an online Scion sharing community. I'm trying to remember the name of it. They switched over to Facebook, and I'm sorry, I'm not a Facebook person. I'm scared of Facebook. I mean, I shouldn't be because everybody's on it, but I should get with it and just do it. But I have avoided Facebook. But there is an organization that's national, a group that's national. They trade scions, and they do it all online, and it's on Facebook. So these kinds of things do exist already, parallel to us. But if we want to create our own, I think the Seed Savers Exchange is a great model. And also, I would look at what these folks are doing on Facebook, the Sign Exchange community. I can't remember. Does anybody know about that? I've looked at it, and you know, the other thing about the sign exchanges is just, you know, we could do another whole thing on that: patented plants, diseases, pests. you know, how to have a nice, clean, healthy sign exchange, so to speak. That's another talk maybe we could have another time. There's probably an ag major student that would like to do it for a senior project. I bet you there is. That's a really good point. You got Davis right there. My email address is johnvalenzuela@hotmail.com. And then let's see. Okay, thank you, Robert. Any more questions? Oh, hanging out. Hey, Frank, thank you for being patient. Go ahead, Frank. Yeah, right? That's where it starts. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. And you know, unless your local member maybe is the only way that you can get into the actual details of it, but you know the general neighborhood where somebody's at, and you might think, hey, that's similar to where I'm at. Very useful information. Also, the Monterey Bay chapter has done it a little bit differently, but they've created a database of their favorite varieties and early season, mid season, late season, and they list, you know, are they on the foggy coast or are they on the sunnier inland or wherever, to help people. Sometimes I've seen it organized by zip code, but zip codes are kind of big sometimes. But yeah, those are all great ways to give that useful information. You know, will it grow for me? Where do you live? You know, did it die because it's not a good variety, or gophers, or or what? So thank you, Frank. Yeah, each chapter, go for it. And then if each chapter did it, then if there was a way to kind of like aggregate those chapters in some way, that's the big picture. But that takes a little more coordination. But you know, we have people that massage data all the time around here, don't we? Yeah. Yeah. That was always the tricky. Go ahead. Sir. Yeah, that was always the tricky thing, it seemed, in the past, because I remember talking about databases for like permaculture plants and all these things, you know, kind of economic botany, ethnobotany databases beyond just fruit, you know, all kinds of stuff. And it was just those columns, those darn columns, we couldn't agree on them, you know. You know, like okay, fruit size, color, shape, and you know when it flowered, you know, just which columns were the most important. But no, it's not that hard. We could come up with some minimum agreeable amount of data to join in on it. I think it's great. Yes, and Carol has just put in the chat for everyone the Monterey Bay CRFG fruit varieties page there, and it's a nice little spreadsheet, and I'd encourage you to go check that out. And it's just the way that they're sharing that information. And when they have their sign exchanges, they post that on the wall. So it has not only the varieties, but when it comes into season, so you can have that year-round fruit harvest and the whole thing. So it's a great little model I've seen up here. So you can see there's these bits and pieces of this that help us find what we're looking for. And this is really great. I'm really glad we're having this discussion, and look forward to follow up with anybody who has some wherewithal to either share what they've already got, like Carol just did, sharing that link. And Frank, I did look at your South Orange County website just today. And so if we could aggregate some of these best practices and just share them with the other chapters, just so, hey, poke around on the other 22 chapters and see what they're doing. They're doing some interesting stuff out there.
It's almost over. It's supposed to be.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's over. It's over. The 1800 patented varieties. Well, trademark is just a name, just to be clear. And like I said, we can do a whole nother thing on trademarks, patents, diseases, you know, CDF8 protocols, plum gall mite. We can do all the, you know, all those things. The main thing is that watch for the expiration date of the plant patents. And so Jason Suter, is Jason Suter here? Jason Suter in the Bay Area he works with databases, and he did a great massaging of the spreadsheet to where we had all the ones that were patented, a huge number, but all the ones that were off patent. And there's even been some lawsuits surrounding this, because many vendors will try to sell you a tree they claim to be still patented, and it's not. So I'm watching constantly the ones that have expiration dates, and it's 20 years after the patent was awarded nowadays. So basically, you can just look up a variety name and figure out when it got patented, and it should say there's even a Google patent search. Google does patent searches, and they will just show you it, and they'll tell you the expiration date, and that's the main thing to look for. And we do not accept any patent varieties. When it comes to trademark names, it gets a little more confusing. Trademarks never expire. And so just briefly, the most common example is the great apple that is most commonly known as Pink Lady. Pink Lady is a trademark name for the highest quality fruit produced by the original name is Crips Pink apples. Crips Pink, from the guy down in the Southern Hemisphere who created it. Crips Pink, he was breeding this apple, and then the grower said, that's not a very good name. For the really high quality fruit, let's call it Pink Lady. And they trademarked that. That means nobody can use that name unless they're licensed by them to sell this high quality fruit. That's why they trademarked that name. So that variety has come off patent. It's been more than 20 years since it was patented. So we're free to graft it, but we should never call it Pink Lady. We should call it Crips Pink. So when I do my labels, if I write Pink Lady, I have a nice thin line right through that name. So everybody knows it's not Pink Lady. We're not using the trademark name. It's Crips Pink. But that's just one example of you cannot use it. And any properly labeled plant, if it's using a trademark name, will also include in parentheses the original name of that cultivar before it was renamed with a trademarked name. That's, every trademark named plant should also on the label include in parentheses the original name of that plant. So that's a quickie on that point. But yes, it gets complicated, and we should avoid trademark names to not bother those people who hold those rights. And I could give you another time of whole stories on patent infringement claims and cease and desist orders that we got, and a lot of confusion. And so that's a pretty entertaining story. We could do that another night. Oh, here's a quick one. And I think, I'm sure there's some more questions. I'll stick around for maybe another 10 or 15 more minutes, but I think we're winding down here. So thanks everybody for coming. If you got to go, I understand. We're still at 62 people. Wow. I guess we don't have anything else to do on a Wednesday night. But Bill Brandt says, to sterilize scions, what percentage of bleach should be used in cleaning solution? This is a great question. We've discussed this. What is adequate to do the job without damaging the scions? I've heard various things from various people. I'm not going to quote any percentages. I've seen people use dilute hydrogen peroxide also. I've seen people use alcohol, which I think maybe has problems like bleach does. It is phytotoxic, right? We want to kill organisms, but we don't want to damage tissues, especially around the bud itself. The bud is protected by sheaths, little folded like armor, to protect the actual little apical point in there. So, we have to be careful with those solutions. We do want to get rid of diseases. So some things, when things are dormant though, we have an amazing grace period with transferring them. As long as we keep them cold, they're so compact and tight and protected themselves from a lot of things. It's a great time to try to do some treatments like this. Certainly we would spray them if it was on the tree still with things like a copper solution, like a Bordeaux or something, or we might do a horticultural oil spray to smother insects, right? And so, you know, I'm not an expert in that, and so if there's any people working with plant propagation and do this kind of stuff, please enter the discussion now, or we can continue this later. But I have some, like Marta Matvienko. Marta, are you here? Marta's a scientist. She does this kind of stuff. She may know the proper protocol for that. But ultraviolet light, that's an interesting one. I think that sounds interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that would be effective for disease and pests. I think what's most important is as best you can is a visual inspection that will lead you to any diseases that are in the sporulating phase where they're like spreading more. The ones that are latent or just have a few spores that haven't germinated yet, you're not going to see. That's why the wipe down is important, whether it's with dilute bleach, hydrogen peroxide, or some other like a fungicide or something. But to look at them carefully and look for insects, look for eggs, and look for deformed or, you know, bark that doesn't quite look right. It doesn't have the right color or something's going on with it. And what we need to do is, and I'm working on this with some friends up here, other members, is to create a protocol for best practices for safe plant sharing. And there's this whole Safe Plant Network. I talked about the foundation services, plant foundation services. That's one extreme where they're literally testing for all the diseases. But I want to be in touch with them and tell them what we're trying to do and see if they have any practical suggestions for us at the backyard scale, at the community scale, not maybe able to test like they can, but at least doing a cleanup, a little wipe down to get the surface stuff. But viruses are a tricky one. You're never going to get rid of a virus once you got it. Unfortunately, most of them aren't problematic. So we need to do our best. So.
Yeah, John?
Yeah, Robert.
I've used Phison, I think it's Phison 20. It's antibacterial, antiviral, any bunch of other things that I can't think of right now.
Could you type it in the chat so we could see how it's spelled?
Okay.
And yes, what's the other one? Yeah. Any microbiologists out there? Tell us your favorite dip. Okay, well, Frank, did you have your hand raised again? Or should I lower it for you? Did you have other comments?
I think that Jose Gallego is a chemist with Sandiego, and
yes.
Jose is excellent on a lot of that germplasm and cloning, and also on the leaves and different problems. He's a very good source on that.
Excellent. We're going to have to tap him and get and have him help lead some recommendations like that. Thank you very much.
He did a chapter presentation to us on doing Petri dish basic clonal regeneration of plants, and it was an excellent thing and a good way to do it.
Excellent. Yes, we had a woman come up to here the Bay Area. She did some kind of like kitchen cloning thing. It was like using just your pots and pans in your house, and you know how you could just do it at home. Yeah, cloning, basic cloning stuff. Excellent. I'll have to tap Jose. And so we've got a link here about the truth about UV light in your plants. So we'll have to click on that and read that. Does Debbie have a quick summary on the point there? That's fine, thanks. Oh, UVA and UVB, yes. That's fine, thank you, Debbie. Yes, I don't use sunscreen. I just wear long sleeve shirts and hats. But as far as disinfecting your plants, I would be interested in learning more about that. So thank you for that link. And we'll have to save that chat so I can look at that later.
Hey, John.
Hey, Pat.
Edgar.
It's Edgar.
Oh, sorry.
Listen, well,
right.
Since you are talking about diseases and the cuttings, all that stuff, we have to be careful because this year we have the black fly and the figs.
Right.
And be careful when you get cuttings from figs. It's going around everywhere. I have maybe 12 different type of figs, and all of them they contaminated.
Oh, no.
Yes, and the
There's always
university
something.
supposed to do something about it, but so far I don't hear nothing from them.
Oh,
But
no.
I want you guys to be careful with the cuttings of the figs. It's first year they got California loaded with those disease. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's mostly down just in Southern California. I don't know that we have it up north yet. Thank you, Edgar, for reminding us. There's always something new, always something different that's coming. Last year, a couple years ago, we had this plum bud gull mite, and they were all freaked out about it, and it kind of disappeared. So that's good. But there's always something coming that we're trying to be careful with. That's why we are obliged, because we're a public organization, to follow all the CDFA, the USDA, and local county ag declarations and requirements. We have to, because we're a public organization. What you do on your own, I want you to just be careful and not blow it. But I'm just saying, as a group, we have to follow all those rules. That's just, we're not going to be up here openly breaking the law. So that's why we do it. We try to cooperate with them. We don't like pesticides. I mean, personally, I use the minimum possible, organic if possible. And, that's our choice for most of us. Nobody wants to do that. So that's why it's been very difficult with ACP. And, down there in Southern California, I know we used to have fruit flies. Remember when they sprayed malathion by helicopter in LA for fruit flies?
Yeah.
So at least we're not there, but so there's always something, and let's just be as clean and as conscious as we can and do our best. Fruit flies in San Jose.
I want to tell you, thank you for doing this program. You did very good job, and I'm glad still a lot of members of CRFG that is doing good work. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Well, thank you for all you've done over the years. And I'm glad, like you say, this is old news for a bunch of us. And it's harsh news for many, like, what? I used to order it, and so we're just trying to do our best together. And I really enjoyed all the sharing. And, let's do it again sometime. And maybe we'll have more tastings, and maybe we'll have a festival of fruit. Who knows? We're supposed to have one up here. We delayed it 2 years. I don't know the latest on it, but thanks. Yes, the urgent PSA for all California fig growers at crfg.org. Excellent. And somebody's talking about fruit flies in the San Jose area. I have not heard about that, but there's always, like I said, there's always something. Hey, it's bad enough with the olive fly and the spotted wing Drosophila. We need another one. Okay. But thanks everyone. And great to see a bunch of people I haven't heard from in a long time. Please get in touch with me. I'm super busy, but I'd love to hear from you. And I'm just going to probably sign out now. Is John still here? Or
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, well, great. I was just going to kind of give up now. I'm having fun, but
yeah, it's great.
Any other comments? Anybody want to bring up anything? Or
just to clarify, 3 members want, one wants a mulberry, one wants a pomegranate, one wants a fig. And it's like, you guys arm wrestle, we're only going to get 1 pomegranate.
Awesome. Three-way arm wrestle. That's going to be awesome.
There you go.
So what this is the local politics, so to speak. This is how it breaks down in your group. Some of us have dozens of members that are interested in things. Sometimes people are just like, oh yeah, just give me something interesting. I don't know. And so we have some leeway in some cases, but when it comes down to making decisions, let me make a couple of comments because it's a really good point. You know, how do you, say yay and nay? There are different things I think about when we're collecting this stuff, and that's, can we get it anywhere else? That's why I did all this tonight, trying to show you all the different ways you can get stuff. And if not, what is it about this one that is special, that is particularly interesting? Now, it could be fruit quality, the time of the year, disease resistance. Maybe it just has a really good story that it just like came from an impossible situation. Sometimes I like to just have that just for that story, but when it comes down to it, there's who will propagate it and who will share it, because that's another big decision-making thing. It's like, okay, we're going to get this, but does somebody have the right situation for it? And I'm not saying that people that don't have a say. I'm just saying that it needs to be worked out in the group, like how you're going to make it happen, and then you'll be a source of it. But yeah, we had, last year was kind of sudden and last minute, so not many of the chapters responded. I'm hoping with this presentation and then people viewing it later that we'll have a really good response, and that it will just get the chapters more into these discussions like we're having tonight about databases, who has what, how we're going to share things, how we're going to share things cleanly, without spreading diseases and pests. These are all really great discussions that I hope this is kicked off tonight and that will continue. And look forward to seeing you, at some kind of event, or maybe just visiting you wherever you're at all over the state. I get around a little bit, so I need to make some trips down to Southern California more to get out to Riverside or San Diego or some of these places. I know people have invited me, so I want to thank you for joining us. And thank you, John, for inviting me to talk to Sandiego and then opening it up to everybody else. And Ty, I know Ty was working on this. So thank you, Ty, and everybody else that was involved.
Frank from South Orange County. I messed up and didn't record the whole thing. So you said you were recording?
Who, me?
Frank.
Yeah, I have a recording bubble going on, so somebody's recording. Was it?
I started late, but Frank at South Orange said he started earlier. Okay,
great.
that'd be great.
So, have you done that before, Frank? Do you know how to do that? Yeah, so what I mean is at the end, you kind of like upload it, or it finishes like digesting or whatever, and it can take like 15 or 20 minutes to kind of get through the whole video. It's been over an hour now. And so yeah, and then it should be in some kind of a package that you could send a link to, and then we can get that, I'll have Bill Grimes or somebody post it widely so we can all access it for those who weren't able to join us tonight. My file?
Yeah. Yeah, I started late. Yeah. Or maybe you can just do the whole thing, Frank. Then oh, I see. Yeah, it's all fun too. The chat's good. I think that's good, huh? It's more information, the better. But yeah.
I'm thankful that we've got so many people from different chapters that are joining us tonight. This is really great, seeing some of the people that we've known and loved from Festivals of Fruit. Margaret Frayne there, our former past president, and a lot of the other people that have been in the organization for many years. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Indeed.
Thank you, John. It was great.
Thanks, Margaret.
Well, I think that's about it. Thanks, John.
Thank you so much again for allowing me the time and all your interest. It's great to see a big meeting like this on Next time I do this, I'll be a little bit smoother with those websites or something, but you all will be able to find those same websites and spend hours looking at them and all night, and hopefully something good will come of it. So thanks again.
All righty. Well, good night, everybody.
Thank you again, John.
Aloha.
All right, here we go.
Record.